Appreciate you.
Yeah, that's for sure. Pardon. These are resolutions. I don't remember if you guys asked for this or why, but somewhere this is the agreement from 21 that we've been using since our DSGC. And it looks like last year, this is the amount that we paid out for the agreement. For the second information, I guess.
I don't know.
You in trouble?
Almost.
Don't believe
Where
you. Age young.
Sure. All right, at 9 o'clock, call meeting to order the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
The move.
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded to approve the agenda as presented. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Question about the agenda. This is common training, is there somebody from EG coming here?
Yes.
Okay. I was just worried this, I was gonna have to do it again.
No.
Just under,
Yeah, there's, do you have a copy of that, or it just needs to be signed?
I think that I gave it to you the one day and then you guys kept it. Let me see if I can find it. I gotta fix my mouse.
Okay,
Shoot the battery. I got a different mouse.
Full batteries.
So I got a new mouse. It's this weird fat, short battery.
Maybe third computer.
I got a different one. Just gotta figure out what's it.
These all just need signed right here.
It's just, it's
We've
just
already
one,
done-
it's just the,
Oh, for the tip clerk.
yeah, they paid.
Okay. For the record, I'm signing a liquor license for the Holton Country Club.
It's just another contract with the development services.
You betcha.
Silver Beach, and Rose. Who's part-time? Yeah. And can you just use this so you can computer password? What's your computer password? Yes.
Is it Ira the Boss #1?
She got me password, so I just had to. What's that?
Is it Ira the Boss #1?
She did not create that.
Or Joe?
How many pages? This teacher just called me and asked that you come up to her office with me. I have this to submit to the commission. We never got one of those school job. I just take a picture of the front page for my phone. Is that right? And then it's just the name and
Do you see that?
Yeah, it's doing that on Yeah, there's a.
Karen just brought me in, and I know she got her on to see it, but
That was a contract from 5 years ago.
Or anything like that, I don't know. Look, it look like that.
that's what I thought through, they had, because they're the ones who drafted that agreement, so I thought,
You know, it was easy, I haven't got anything. Teed up. It's like we agreed.
I didn't know if they were communicating with you.
That or,
Do we have that, or do you want to send that to Christie, so that we can send that to you?
yeah, I can send it.
who were saying, like,
It's- Yeah.
you might have told them off.
And it's set up and just attached. To that.
Changes. All right, got 9:15. How you doing, Joe?
Hey, good morning. Not a lot this week. The biggest thing is I met with the paved craft guy and went on a drive along with him. It wasn't our final one or anything, it was just, we had him come back and look at stuff. His plan was come back with a vacuum truck this week and try to recover some of the material that didn't go onto the road. I don't know that that is what he wants to do anymore because it all washed down the road, but
Yeah.
he said he's gonna make it right. So
Okay.
whatever that means is.
And you told him that we were withholding final payment until it was
Yeah,
right?
he sent another bill for some reason on Friday, but we told him that we're not getting money until the product's finished.
Okay. Perfect.
He said he's gonna make it right. He's trying to do it right. He said it was because of his emulsion truck, the truck that puts the asphalt down. He said it wasn't calibrated correctly. He had it in the shop last week, so
Okay.
hopefully we can get it right. So two we did last week was I-118 and M and 242. We did ditch work at 286 I to H and 278 in G. And then they did asphalt work on W roads again. So this week they're gonna clean up T and white, and last week they also, from that storm, there was a lot of tree debris and stuff, so that's 2 of the days. Clean up on T and 182 for next week. There's a low water crossing at A and 190 that needs almost redone, but they're gonna make it passable for this year, and next year they're gonna rebuild it basically, because it's pretty bad.
Okay.
And more asphalt patching on this, and W south of this. Maintenance wise, this week he's fixing the water pump in the low boy. It went out last week and it's probably already done. And they're gonna do some work on the boom mower, the insides of like the insides of like the rotor part. Some of the bolts stripped off, and so he's gonna have to fix it.
Okay.
And then just gonna do routine oil change and maintenance type stuff until something comes up. And then tomorrow is our safety meeting. It's gonna be over sexual harassment, like one of the mandatory, it's either K camp or payroll. It's mandatory, maybe both. It's required for them to do it. So we can cover that tomorrow.
All right, this driveway access, then it's all good and everything, you're happy with it?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead and sign that. And just for the record, we did have a payroll change notice from Mary Savage. All right, well, I guess we'll address the big one here. I've got your letter of resignation, and I really, I will accept it with regret. I appreciate everything you did while you were here. I know you got sent into hornet's nest right off the bat, and I'd like to say I appreciate everything you've done for us. I think you have made a big difference out there, a big change. So I say I would accept this with regret.
For effective date, I'm not having some.
What's that?
I don't want to be, is it an effective date, is it immediate or?
No, September 5th.
Okay.
September 5th, so
That's noted as. being
let's see,
signed.
we need a motion to accept this resignation.
Yeah, with the,
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded to accept Joe Gardner's resignation from Jackson County Road and Bridge effective September 5th, 2026. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Once again, thank you for everything you've done. Appreciate it. All right, I can't think of anything else. You got anything else?
Thank you.
All right, thank you, appreciate it. Okay, is there any discussion on this contract from 2021 with GSJC for the,
What was the purpose of?
I have no idea.
Oh.
I don't know if we just put that in there so you could be familiar with it.
Okay.
It was just the recycling portion.
Well, it doesn't say anything in here from what I'm reading. This is for the folks that worked out at Road and Bridge and data recycling, and I don't see anything in there that says that it will be renewed or time frame on it or anything like that, so. Yeah, just says yearly employment.
Yeah, just basically a job description of what
Yep.
the people will do and what's expected.
Yep.
And it just shows the typical cost, what it cost last year, so that you're aware when you're making your decision on your budget. Because keep it with your budget stuff.
Oh, yeah, you can keep with the budget stuff, that's fine. You may be able to reconsider it next year, it's hard to say. So we start at 11:15. 11:15. So we wait till we're done, thought we had an agenda.
It says 10 is already. So I'm not sure how much. Is it below the rest of it?
Yeah, it might be, it's pretty big and long.
Used my next door,
Has everyone read the minutes?
Yeah.
I did see one change that I would like made on the third page. Fifth line up from the bottom. Kelly stated employee benefits and further explained that they had burned through their cash reserves by stating revenue neutral election Regis last year. Because we were not revenue neutral the year before that, so.
That is correct.
well, let me get it over here, just a second.
Maybe it's back and forth on a scooter.
17. Which page?
Third page,
On the bottom?
fifth line up from the bottom.
Kelly stated.
That should just read by stating revenue neutral last year.
Okay. You want me to say last year,
Actually,
close to revenue neutral?
it would be revenue neutral in 2026, this year.
Yeah, this year.
The current year.
Revenue neutral in 2026. And in 2025, was it a half mil?
No, we were above it more than half a million.
2025.
Yeah.
I don't know, without going back and looking. What,
You probably don't need that, though.
Okay.
I would not think you need that when we're just
I
talking about.
just changed the way that's worded.
we were revenue neutral for 1 year.
Yeah.
This is the current year, 2026. Yeah, thanks.
All right. I'd entertain a motion to approve the corrected minutes of August 17th, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded to approve the corrected minutes of August 17th, 2026. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. All right, we have a resolution before us, resolution number 2026-16, which effectively changes rates for Jackson County landfill. That will be effective January 1st, 2027. I would entertain a motion to approve. Would you like to read it? You want me to read it all, or you guys want to read it? we discussed last week. Look okay to everybody? I'd entertain a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded to approve resolution number 2026, addressing rates for the Jackson County landfill effective January 1st, 2027. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Make that copy of those new rates, or that need to be running over.
It will get ran in the paper,
Just
but yes, I can give you a copy of it. They only changed the one.
Okay, also have a resolution 2026-17 before us, a resolution authorizing the dissolution of the Jackson County Risk Management Fund. I'll pass this through, let everyone read it.
This is the only rate that they showed, one is 13, and then the hourly rate is 7.
I had mine.
Especially.
It's a general reserve fund, capital improvement fund. It's not the, just the general, right?
I believe it is. I believe that said that's what we're going to, right?
It's a major capital outlay fund.
Capital outlay.
She was making it a capital outlay fund.
Yeah, that's, it says the county general reserve fund.
Okay.
It's not county general fund. Right.
It gives us more flexibility to be able to utilize the funds and not be restricted in the way of the setup.
And you're covered in insurance for all that anyway, right? Yeah. Okay.
Couldn't remember what it was. Okay, so I would entertain a motion to approve resolution number 2026-17, a resolution authorizing the dissolution of the Jackson County Risk Management Fund.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded to approve resolution number 2026-17, a resolution authorizing the dissolution of the Jackson County Risk Management Fund. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
We have to sign it.
She'd be the one that's
Yeah.
$4%. 24%.
I was wondering if that was gonna,
That's the last one.
the last one.
The last one. So we also have a resolution number 2026-18.
Yes.
A resolution calling for a special question election on the levying of a 4/10% countywide retailer sale tax for the purpose of financing public infrastructure projects in Jackson County. Basically, this is just we're going to put it up for the voters again in November, because if we lose this, we're losing close to $800,000 for rock. And we cannot afford to lose $800,000 for rock. If we do not get this, then the rock fund is going to be probably pretty much strictly for patching. There's not going to be anything for any major projects, again, for a long, long time. So the patching is just going to be patching. It's not going to be mile to mile. It's going to be patching, and that's it. You got a bad spot, we're going to go dump some rock in it and grade it out, and that's going to be it. So we're going to put this before the people again. We will also tell them tomorrow or Wednesday night that we are going to put this back on the ballot if this resolution passes, and see where it goes from there.
And the state's renewing, so that's good too.
Yeah, and this is a renewal. It's not a new tax. Never has been a new
I
tax.
think some people didn't understand it.
So, what's that?
22 years.
Yeah, it's been in place for 22 years. So did you read it or you did?
No, I'm
Okay.
familiar with it.
I would entertain a motion to approve resolution number 2026-18, a resolution approving the placing on the ballot of the 4/10% sales tax for
The general election.
general election in November.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded to approve resolution number 2026-18. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. nails on chalkboard. And you all know that I mentioned a couple months ago that Kansas and Northeast County Public Health, which is us, Brown and Atchison, had applied for a grant together for improving mental health in the 3 counties, working together as a cooperative. We did get the grant. I announced that day, and the state has reviewed everything as far as all the legalities of it, and they're happy with it. So it's just reviewing. I've got some documents signed here as my role as chairman of the board of Northeast Kansas Mold and Health. So just wanted you guys to know that that is moving forward, and so I think it'll be a good thing for the 3 counties. So just wanted to let you know that.
staff meeting.
You can be late.
We're running late.
Okay.
Attorney General's.
Oh, joy.
We plan on hearing
What's that?
Are we planning on hearing from Todd then?
Yeah, we want to move some things up. We got some.
Yeah, let's move some things up. So I'd entertain a motion to move, County Councilor Todd Luckman up on the agenda to 9:50.
So,
It's okay.
Properly moved and second to move County Councilor Todd Luckman up on the agenda to 9:50. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. What do you got, Todd?
Okay, well, first, just housekeeping. We need you to sign the consent order. You already approved this, it just needs to be signed. So the prior consent order we had, didn't you have you guys signing it? So I don't know why this is different. We're here to serve. Let's see here. The property that remains in ownership after the tax sale was, the highest sealed bid was $3,800 by James Jamerson. Has received, I just probably so you guys could move to accept the bid and to execute a deed later.
I think we did accept
Yes, we did.
last week.
Last
Oh, you
week.
did? Okay.
It's in the minutes.
Okay, so we'll just prepare a deed for you guys to sign.
Okay, there is no place on here that I see for us to sign.
Oh, it's on the back page.
On the
It's on the very back. Right there. I was looking at the date here on the other side. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I guess there was some questions about the EMS contract.
The what?
EMS contract.
Okay. What was the question?
Well, I do know the status of it. I think that you guys, I'd sent a request for information. I don't know that they had provided that.
Yeah, we got it, and it's all done.
Okay,
The contract is renewed for, as the old contract is renewed as it stood. There was no,
additional documentation?
nope.
Okay, so,
So it's good and off the plate.
right. Okay, well, we've got, probably some discussion, maybe to have an executive about contract negotiations with, vendors. And then, and some other legal matters too, so I don't know if we want to do that now or not.
I'd say let's do it now and get it over with.
She said 10:20, so
10:20?
when they might be here.
So it probably would be 15 minutes or 20 minutes. We've got a couple
So like it's good, 20?
See if they show up out there, you can let us know, but they can wait.
Okay?
Yep.
Let's say 20 then. Attorney-client privilege, contract negotiations. Vendors.
I move we go into executive session for purpose of attorney-client privilege discussion for a period of 20 minutes starting at 9:54. With the meeting to reopen at 9:14. In this room, chambers, for the purpose of discussing what contract,
Contract with vendors. Negotiation.
contractor, and negotiation.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's properly moved and seconded, go into executive session for attorney-client privilege, contract negotiations with vendors, 20 minutes reopening in this room. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carried.
That little screen is.
I think we just need to-
Screen is right there.
So that we can see.
What?
I just thought I'd sit over here.
Yeah, goodies. There's the.
It's got a little present screen also.
both my head.
What? Oh, you're fine. Yeah, you're fine.
Every year we go to the state fair, people tell us he's the best thing in the whole state. So.
Okay.
Amen.
Yeah, you're.
I just like to get it on the screen first. So watch the screen.
I could do that.
Do you just move it? This part?
No.
You do it on that?
Yeah.
Okay.
There it is.
Thank you.
Yeah, you just basically squeeze in on it and then put a light on it, so then it changes it.
Alright, you want to do the first part?
Before we begin, I'd like to make a statement of it. I just want to state for the record that this COBA training is not due to any violation of the Open Meetings Act, Open Records Act, due to the Jackson County Commission findings that you guys found. This COBA training is basically for a technical violation of the extensions that we did and how we stated it.
For executive sessions.
Yes.
Oh, good to know.
So I just wanted to make that statement for the record. That there was no COMA violations. There was no COMA violations, and that's what this is for. So
Yeah, okay, so technical education.
yep.
Okay. Very good.
Let me run it in and out.
Go ahead. Alrighty, you dabbled in yet?
Yeah, you're good.
Hey, good morning.
Morning.
I apologize for the tardiness. We had a staff meeting this morning and they got started 30 minutes late and we just kind of roll with things here. So we'll adjust for this afternoon's trainings as we go along. But I'm Matthew Gesser. I'm the Administrative Counsel at the Office of the Attorney General. I teach the COMA courses, the CORA courses, governmental ethics and transparency courses. So I have 3 course offerings, 3 genres, and I also have a 4th course I teach on open government for law enforcement. So today we're doing the introductory for the Kansas Open Meetings Act. And so it's we'll just go through the data basics of what the COMA does, what open meetings look like, and we'll have a kind of an in-depth discussion of the executive sessions. I will tell you about 90% of governing bodies I go to always have trouble with executive sessions. And the good news is we have a new manual out, our 2026 Kansas Guide to Open Government, our Citizens Guide, has a new section on model executive session motions, so you can just read it right out of the booklet. And so I think that was a long overdue piece of information, and so that will be a very helpful thing. It's on our website, ag.ks.gov. If you would like me to email it to you, I'm more than happy to email you a PDF copy of our packet. It's a very nice publication, and we just came out last week, so it's a very nice thing. We're very happy to do that for you. And so this is Chase. He's our administrative intern for this semester. And so he's been learning all about the COMA. Can you imagine how fun that is, right?
Oh yeah.
And so he's been helping me teach the classes as part of his enrichment and education process. And so I still do CORA because CORA is a very complicated issue. A lot of folks are very curious about. But COMA is one I think the more the merrier that can teach and learn about it. So Chase has been doing a good job. So we're going to tag team this today. And so I'll let Chase start with the basics, since once we get to executive session materials, I'll go into more detail. So Chase, you kind of find a good spot for you. And
if you guys have any questions too, feel free to interject. We don't want you to forget a question at the end, so just feel free whenever it comes up in your head, ask. All the slides should answer it, but if you have a question, just go ahead and feel free to ask. So.
Well, yeah, you just real time ask your questions, because I'd rather you not forget it, right? And so we'd rather you know in real time what you want to know, ask, and that's kind of how we go through this. So Chase, can you start on the first part of the presentation?
So who is subject to the Kansas Open Meetings Act? So really the easy way to think of this is anybody who's grouped into that political and taxing division of the state. So all legislative and administrative bodies and agencies, political and taxing subdivisions, any subordinate groups as well, receiving whole or partial funds from the public. Subordinate groups is not defined, but basically it's most commonly seen from creating some sort of sub-commission that you have within your county or city. So. When a subcommittee or any other sort of subordinate group is created, the majority of that subcommittee or subordinate committee, when they meet, that is considered a meeting as well, unless otherwise stated in the law. A private entity will be considered a subordinate group of legislative or administrative body of the state or political and taxing subdivision if a private entity is under the control, whether directly or indirectly, of a legislative or administrative body by the state or political and taxing subdivision.
And so this slide right here is brand new law from July 1 of 2025. It's a much newer component of the COMA. And so when we're looking at this, if you have committees, historically it was unclear whether or not you broke up into committees and say you have a committee of 2, or let's say you have a committee that you form, maybe a Parks and Rec Commission or a Library Commission, and you had any sort of say in the creation of that. That was unclear. Now it's 100% clear that's COMA sensitive, and those bodies are going to be subject to every aspect of the Kansas Open Meetings Act. And so it was more questionable in some of these city councils. Like maybe they have 7 members on their council, and they divide the committees of 3. That committee of 3 was like, oh, is it going to be COMA sensitive? Well, it was unclear in many respects. Now it's 100% clear. Every single time those governing bodies are going to be COMA sensitive. And we saw over time there would be some private entities. Like the city of Lawrence works with maybe the Humane Society, and they work with a homeless shelter. And those entities do a lot of the work, and they have their own governing bodies. But because they're fully contracted with the city, their governing bodies are under the indirect or direct control, because they can cut the funding at any time. And so those governing bodies, even though they're private organizations, are also now COMA sensitive. You see the nexus there? But just because you pay someone to mow your lawn, and they come mow your lawn, their board of governors or however they do their corporate governance, it doesn't make them their staff needs over them, right? You see the difference and distinction there? And so that was a new law that took effect July 1, 2025. A lot of changes, predominantly the CORA, Kansas Open Records Act, but the COMA had some modifications as well. And we'll see a few of those components really emphasized, in particular the live streaming meetings. That was a huge change that we'll talk about. So we're going to talk about what a meeting is next. Chase will put us off the 3 prongs of a meeting.
So 3 prongs that we kind of go through this test. It has to meet typically all 3. So any gathering or assembly in person, through use of the telephone or any other medium for interactive communication, so Zoom Link, Google Meet, things like that, by a majority of the membership of the public body or agency subject to the Act, and for the purpose of discussing business and other things related to that public body or agency. So, sometimes it won't meet all 3 of these, but I would still err on the side of making sure we're following this when it comes to that. The gathering assembly part of this 3-prong test, so if you may conduct meetings through telephone or other mediums, so conference calls, video, Skype, some of these other things I'm also not familiar with, but they may comply with the COMA requirements. Informal discussions before or after a meeting or in recess will be subject to COMA. Again, majority membership would also include that, but name of the gathering is irrelevant as well. So if you rename your county commission, your board, or whatever, it's still going to be subject to the same requirements here.
And real quick, this first prong of the meeting test, really the operative term is any other meeting interactive communication. Because you have telephone. I could see this piece of paper, I could write notes. That's an interactive medium of communication. I pass it around. A human being can be that interactive medium of communication, right? And so if I could talk to you, then I talk to you, and then talk to you. I've been the conduit of a meeting. I've talked to all 3 of you. I was the median of communication. Isn't that kind of interesting? And so county managers and city managers often get themselves in trouble by serving in that role. So they can't actually be having conversations with everyone unless they keep silent about the conversations they have with everyone. You see how that works? The moment they share what they talked about with Commissioner A to Commissioner B, a 3-person commission, you violated the COMA already because you hit 2 out of 3. So it's kind of interesting to see how that works, right?
But they can share information.
They can, not if they got it from Commissioner A, though.
Not if they got it, but if our clerk calls the chairman and says A, B, or C, says, hey, I just wanted to make you aware of this, and then calls the other commissioners.
And that would be a violation, yeah.
So how do they communicate?
In a small board of 3 individuals.
No, I mean, how do they communicate in real time?
Because
sometimes it's time sensitive that we would know in an emergency, whatever that might be, right? Do you agree with that?
To a degree, I mean, you only have the right to meet as a governing body. You can only make decisions as in session.
Correct.
Only an executive branch official can do
But what I'm asking is if the three of us need to be given information,
Yeah.
and we have a clerk who wants to reach out to us and calls him, her, and myself.
So there is a caveat to that. It's not interactive communication between the governing body, because the clerk is just doing 1, 2, 3.
Right, that's
The
what I'm
moment
asking.
someone, let's say B talks to Ed, after that communication, that it's over, the comment has been violated.
That's what I'm asking. How do we get communication from the staff? Because we're not here on a daily basis.
It's complicated. In a smaller board, typically the chair and vice chair, or a larger board, the chair and vice chair would have immediate access to this information free.
If the majority of the 105 counties, though, in the
Yeah.
state of Kansas,
They have three.
are three.
And that has created problems over time, because then the only way you can truly have that interactive communication back and forth is when you're in session. And that's just the way it goes. A lot of counties are switching to 5 and 7, and that's their right to do so. You have no obligation to do so. City councils who are smaller also struggle a little bit. Those township boards, of which 3, we frequently have COMA violations for them. It's never intentional, I should add, right? It's just the reality of the system that we have just does not always produce the ability to have these conversations you may need.
So if 2 board members go to church together, is that a violation?
If you talk about the governing body's business, absolutely. Yeah, because that would be the discussion prong, the majority prong would be hit. So you gotta be careful. I'd always recommend if you're in a 3-person board, person A and person B sit on different sides of the church pew sit. That way people can't assume, as even if you say, hey, I want to bring this up to a vote tomorrow, that one statement from another board member outside of an open meeting is a violation. So it's very easy to violate the COMA in a 3-person board. It truly is. And it's never with malintentions, right? Sometimes it is, but in most cases it's not something we're seeing people actively trying to subvert the body. It's just really hard in a small board. It truly is. It's just the way it goes. So let's go ahead and go to the next row.
Yeah, and also another way we've kind of seen that people not get around it, but you have staff would email the governing body, and through a blind carbon copy, and there's no way for anybody to reply to all. That's also another way that staff would then communicate to all 3, and then there's no interactive medium because nobody's replying. There's no communication except from the staffer to the 3 members.
Yeah, and that's a tool for the county clerk to use. As long as you don't forward to each other, I think the best assumption of those, any information provided to you by the county clerk or county manager or county administrator or whatever the position is, you should assume that they've done a blind carbon copy so you don't share amongst yourselves, right? Let's talk about the majority membership.
So majority membership is pretty much simple. It's what it is. It's a majority. It can be very different than a quorum, but we'll go into the 3rd prong.
Yeah, a quorum sometimes is the same as a majority, though. I imagine if your governing body is 3, and your quorum is probably 2, right? And so yours is synonymous. There's some governing bodies. The city of Olathe has 7 members. Their quorum is 4, and their majority is 4. There's some governing bodies that have it a little different, though. Let's say you have a city council with 5 members plus a mayor for a total of 6. 3 out of 5 would be the quorum, so you have 5 council members, and the mayor serves as an executive. But the mayor, for purposes of COMA, counts as a council member, and so you need 4 out of 6. So you see how the math can be a little different depending on the circumstances. And so the discussion prong is the operative prong, and I'm going to let Chase give you an overview of it.
So binding action and voting is not necessary. The meeting includes all gatherings, all stages of the decision-making process. Social gatherings, we talked about church, retreats and meetings held in private, educational conference seminars like we're doing today. So all those are all kinds of stuff.
And so the discussion prong, this is what triggers it. You have A and B both present, because remember A is some interactive communication, and B is a majority of membership. C, you can be in the same room, so you have the majority, but you don't have the interactive communication or discussion. So you see how, even if you're at church, as long as you don't have contact with each other. Let's say you do have interactive communication. Good morning. Hello. Hope you're doing well today. Thanks for coming to church. You see how it's interactive communication between each other. using those terminologies, but does it hit the number 3, the discussion prong? It does not. Is it, you would only hit the discussion prong, it was like, property taxes, what are we gonna do about those? You see how that statement is different than hello, or goodbye, or how are your kids? You can talk about some transportation project. Anything that's tangentially related to your functions here will trigger this prong. And that's when you have to be very careful, because the moment you do that is when you have that violation take place. And I should emphasize, violation only, the violation happens because one of these prongs is not met. But the violation truly is notice was not given. That's the violation. And so we'll talk about that in a little bit in just a second. And so, any questions on the discussion prong or the other 2 prongs we've talked about? Does that make sense? Okay. So this has become a fascinating, or somewhat annoying, I guess. It's usually a mixed bag. So the notice. And so, what do you think the notice component? You got it? Okay.
So, COMA does not require notice of meetings, generally speaking. However, people can and usually do request notice. They request notice of these meetings. It can be verbal or written. Typically, the best way is for it to be written. Both the requester and the county commission or city council, whatever it is, both have copies of that, so it's documented. The request for notice is valid for 1 fiscal year. Upon that fiscal year ending, they'll be notified that their request for notice is expiring. If they're not notified of it, though, their request for notice will be valid until they're notified that it is expired. They must provide the date, time, and location where the public body will meet. And notices them with a reasonable time. Obviously, that's kind of ambiguous, but it's basically saying, unless you're having an emergency meeting, there should be a decent amount of time given for people to attend these meetings. So.
Let me expand on this a little bit. And so the person who is responsible for making notices provided is the chair of the board. The chair, of course, has the ability to designate another person to do this. Maybe a county manager, the county clerk, who receive the responsibility. And so that's incumbent upon everyone to cooperate with each other and come up with some procedure to make sure notice is provided to those who are required to give it. And notices of expiring notice, that's a lot of notices in one sentence, are also provided in that timely manner. And so if you fail to timely notify someone their notice is going to expire, the notice continues on. And so their notice goes on indefinitely until you provide that notice of the notice expiring. So a lot of notice, right? So that's the important component there. I also want to emphasize, as we talk about what a reasonable meeting is, reasonable notice, it means different things based on the circumstances. Let's say you were having a meeting that's pretty regularly scheduled. Let's say you're doing your meeting that takes place every week, every 2 weeks, and everyone should know. And so your notice should be pretty far out, especially if there's going to be a modification of some sort, because you kind of know things already, right? Maybe you're doing your retreat, your budget retreat that you may or may not do. But if you're having an emergency meeting and you don't know there's an emergency until 24 hours before the meeting is going to take place, maybe you don't know the meeting is taking place the actual same day. If it truly is an emergency situation, the COMA understands that. And that means you can have that meeting and your notice will be very quick, right? It's quick for the commissioners too if you're doing that, I would imagine, right? You're not planning an emergency meeting 2 weeks ahead of time, right? And so the notice requirement is circumstantial. It's a reasonable standard. So for those of you who are familiar with legal terminology, this reasonably prudent person, we talked about them when I was in law school. It's how a reasonably prudent person would assess the circumstance is how we would look at this notice requirement and when the notice must have been given. And so it's very fair, I would think. And we're very fair in how we assess this. We look at the facts, and the facts, you truly had an emergency. Cool. We are very flexible in understanding of that. If your emergency was known 2 weeks ago, and you just decide to have a meeting now, well, that seems a little more suspect, does it not? Because you truly didn't have an emergency if you knew about it 2 weeks ago. And so the circumstances are very fact-driven in how we analyze the notice requirement. And remember, notice is required if you have a majority of membership, there's interactive communication, and there's going to be discussion over the county's business. And so those 3 prompts that we mentioned previous part of the presentation, mean you have to do this. I also want to emphasize, if you're going on maybe the Kansas Association of Counties has their annual meeting, they're sending two members. Your job is to provide notice that 2 or more members are attending that, or county clerk doesn't need to be included in that, it's only the governing body. But that notice is what gets you there. If that way the public is aware, if they're so inclined, they can drive and buy a ticket and attend the Association of Counties meeting themselves. But you see how you're clicking the box so the public knows what's actually going on, and they have the opportunity to take actions to participate in whatever gathering you're also going to. That's what we're asking of Tacoma and having the notice. It's just so the public has enough awareness so they can make arrangements to attend. And sometimes the county commissioners don't even have enough time to make all the proper arrangements if there is truly an emergency. So I think that's a pretty good summary of the notice requirement. Does that make sense? Any questions?
Yeah, what's your disclaimer? See, I see you have a highlight down there, but I don't see anything up there where your disclaimer is.
That's a holdover from a previous slide.
Ah, okay.
So things have been adjusted since that. I just never got stripped off of it.
Okay.
So the disclaimer overall is just, generally speaking, we don't speak for the Attorney General or him personally. It's just educational material established by the Office of the Attorney General and our open government working group. That's the disclaimer. So, very, very fruitful information. So serial communications, I'll let Chase take a stab at this one.
Interactive communications outside of notice meetings, maybe a meeting under coma, if same kind of 3-prong test, majority membership, the public body or agency, they share a common topic of discussion, and are intended by any and all participants to reach an agreement on a matter that requires binding action to be taken. So again, emails, calls, things like that can be considered as serial communication. We talked about the email, do not reply all, do not forward. If we're going to blind carbon copy is typically best practice when it comes from staff or commission.
Yeah. So a serial meeting in practice looks like this. You have one person on the commission. Let's say it's Commissioner D in this hypothetical commission of 5. And they talk to 2 other people. They do a phone call to 1. That was our first one. Or they do a phone call to 2. That's our second one. How many people are we now participating? 3 out of the 5. And that's where you now have a serial communication that was in violation of the Kansas Open Meetings Act. And so if you do a call tree, that's kind of what I just mentioned is kind of what a reference is to a call tree. An email tree, so I forward to Commission 1, Commission 2 in that case, I accumulate 3. Or if, let's say, a commissioner directs the clerk to, or his county administrator to also engage in that conduct, or the county attorney or county council, the moment you obtain that majority by adding up a series of communications, therefore serial communication means series, and so you see kind of how that works out. So you're just adding up enough communications to get to the discussion that took place with the majority membership. So it doesn't all need to be in one sitting, in other words. We count. We use the ability to count up to the number of communications required to hit a communication that would have been under the requirement of a notice being sent. So that makes sense, how we look at that. We usually don't see these as much, and so it's less often than one would imagine. All right, so Chase is going to go over meeting conduct, and this will be some things that might surprise you. And if you see something up there that surprises you, ask the question. We want to make sure we flesh this out as well as we can. And so that way everyone's on the same page and they know exactly what your expectations are. Or in some cases, there won't be any expectations at all. You're like, oh, I really thought I had to do something here. And so, Jason, hit us off, please.
So COMA has a common theme of kind of not requiring some things, but if you do create it, they have some outline. So speaking of that, agenda, you're not required to have one. If you do have one, though, must include topics planned for discussion if they're known. Could be amended during the meeting before, unless statute or rule locally prohibits that. Must make the agenda available to the person who requests the agenda. Usually the same person would also request notice to a meeting. It does not have to be mailed out in advance of the meeting. You can simply place it in a public place. Also, this kind of follows along with, we get a lot of questions on how many should I create? Well, if you have a meeting of 5 to 10 people that come every time in the audience, I would put out 5 to 10 sheets of paper out there for them. Kind of, again, reasonable for that situation.
So I got a question on that. So if it's published online, then we don't need to provide a copy for each person who comes in, correct?
You would still need to provide it, because the expectation, if you have an agenda, you need to have it available in the room that the meeting is taking place. Because we can't assume everyone has internet access, we can't assume everyone has the ability to print something off themselves. At least as the law currently is situated, we can't make those assumptions.
99.9% of the people out there have smartphones that they can get on and look at it, so, you know, we're trying to cut waste, so isn't that kind of a silly thing to do?
Well, cutting waste is important, but until the law is changed in such a way, remember, this is a law that's still based predominantly in the 1980s. And so
Sure.
it just hasn't been modernized by the legislature to the point where the technological age has been fully realized in its implementation.
So what are you guys gonna push for that?
We push for changes from time to time, and so the legislature ultimately makes the decision on what this looks like. And so it might be a good conversation for your incumbent representatives and senators as we head into 2027.
Wouldn't that be up on you guys to try to make that change?
We make changes on occasion, but
Or to push the legislature to make that change because of that?
we make recommendations frequently. We submit testimony frequently, but we can only get what they give us, right?
Well, same with us, yeah.
So-
I got a quick question too. On the agenda, you said topics planned for discussion. If there's a regular, I mean, we have people who come in here and go, oh, we're doing the same. Road and Bridge is every day at 9:15, right? And it doesn't say Road and Bridge going to talk about this, this, and this. It's just Road and Bridge. Is that acceptable? Because everybody knows that they vary every week. The topics that Road and Bridge is going to discuss is going to be Road and Bridge stuff, but it's going to be back and forth. Is that a problem that you don't have?
Yeah, if you're saying you're using a generic headline for a general discussion on said topics, I think that's satisfactory. I mean, the public understands what's going to be happening, and so they understand they're going to walk in and have a meeting about concept of roads and bridges. It might be different roads and bridge discussions, but at least they understand that's the time of the meeting that they can tune into to get the information about roads and bridges. And so, given that your custom and tradition, you have a robust discussion. That's what it sounds like, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems to be pretty consistent with your public. Maybe that'd be different for Johnson County or Sedgwick County.
You got one right in front of you right there. That's the.
Road and Bridge. Yeah, that seems to be kind of what you got.
So could we post just one agenda on the board so people can see as they come through? Would that be adequate? Or do we have to have copies?
You really probably need to have copies. You can't always assume, but you need to just realize if your turnout is typically about 5 to 10 people, all you need is 5 to 10 copies available. It's based on a reasonable person's expectation. A reasonable person, if your turnout is very similar to this every time you have a meeting, you generally need 5 to 10 copies. It's pretty safe. Let's say all of a sudden you get really popular and you have the whole town come in. Well, then you adjust accordingly. If it happens once, next meeting, maybe have a little bit more and just adjust as time goes on. So the clerk, I imagine, will be the one responsible for making these judgment calls. And they would just assess time based on what the historic activity and attendance has been and use their best judgment. Now, are we going to be down here with a magnifying glass scrutinizing everything y'all do about like the number of copies you're printing? No. But it's the expectation, if you routinely have problems with this, maybe not having enough copies, that might be something the county is needing to improve. And that's when a technical violation would be found, right? A technical issue that needs to be remedied. And so right now 5 copies would probably be very satisfactory, 5 to 10. So.
Could we if we posted it on the door, could we post it on the door with a statement that says if you would like a copy, just request one, and then I print it as they ask for it? Or no?
I mean, I think the best answer is still to have some printed copies. I'm not really.
Your third bullet point up there says must make the agenda available to any person requesting the agenda.
Yep, you still have to do that.
So that's what I'm saying, and I believe that's what Tara was asking. If somebody comes up and says, can I have a copy of the agenda? Sure, not a problem. But why are we making extra copies that are going to sit there, they're going to the trash or recycle?
Just so.
If somebody comes in and asks for it, we were more than happy to print it off for them.
Oh, yeah, you can do that, but you also need to have some available. So let's say someone who doesn't really like interacting with the public, or you have someone with some disability that prohibits speech. We still got to comply with the Americans with Disabilities Act and other components of law to the best we can.
Okay.
And so we have to accommodate everyone equally, and having them just readily available makes it a lot easier to accommodate.
Sure.
Yeah. All right, any other questions on this portion of the meeting conduct, of which there is more to come? And so All right. So Chase is going to talk about some other aspects of meetings, and then I'm going to give you a robust discussion on live streams.
So obviously now most people have cell phones, they have cameras. So use of cameras, photographic lights, and other recording devices. They can do that as much as they want, as long as they're not disruptive. So if I'm getting in your face with a phone or a flashlight or something, then we can talk about removing them or whatever the next step is there. But the public may record that meeting. And again, reasonable rules to ensure conduct of meeting stays to what you guys expect. There's also no public right to speak at any meeting. COMA doesn't cover that. Only to listen and observe. The location of the meeting, again, Americans with Disabilities Act is accessible to the public as well. No secret ballots, and then also be going to minutes. So keeping minutes in terms of how we would think of it, not required except for executive session motions. And we have a copy of those as well, moreover a sample. And that must be recorded word for word in your minutes. So we'll go into that more when we get to executive session.
Yeah. And so the use of cameras, photographs, and all that, perfectly allowed as long as they're not being disruptive. If they're being disruptive, the proper way to handle that is to have a constructive conversation and explain to them, hey, your conduct today was not the most helpful to have a production meeting. In the future, please do X, Y, Z so you can ensure your continued ability to photograph and have camera access, videotape access, while also preserving our ability to have a successful meeting. Now, the thing I see most about the cameras is when they have those big old lights they bring in, and they turn on the lights and they just blind everyone. And that's typically the biggest violation I see about that. It's not a problem at all if they have it in their pocket. A lot of guys will put their phones in their shirt pocket and just record the meeting. Perfectly okay. A lot of people will be more open about it, like we are there, just recording. Perfectly allowed. That's how the law works, and they can come in and record however they want, as long as they're not being disruptive.
So no, we already have a rule passed. Video. So, got it all sorted out.
Most excellent. And so, as Chase said, the Americans with Disabilities Act, your meeting location needs to be accessible. And so, if your meeting location, you guys are very easy to get into, so I don't think you have a problem about that. But some cities around the state have a very difficult time. Their only way to get to the room is through a set of steps. That likely isn't the most compliant with the ADA or the COMA spirit access to those public meetings. You guys, I just walked right in. It was good. So you guys don't have an issue that was noticeable regarding that. So well done. And then, like Chase said, no minutes are required other than the executive session motions, which must be recorded word for word of what is said. With the exception, you can omit ums and ahs. It's like I move, I mean, you can, because those aren't material, they're just filler language. What is exactly said other than the ums and ahs has to be recorded in there verbatim. Now, if our 2026 Citizens Guide has the exact motion you need to read off. By reading that exactly as it's given, you will have successfully done what you have to do to enter that executive session. Now, enter, I said. Exit, we have some more procedures we can talk about. We try to make it easy for you with this new Citizens Guide. We really went into a lot of details about what you need to know. It also includes Quora, so this is a COMA training, but if people want to learn more about the Quora, that has really strong details about how we also implemented in the Citizens Guide how we interpret violations, down to the detail. How any gray area we know about right now is explained and analyzed. And so that way we're trying to remove the issue of ambiguity. So the statute can be unclear. So how does the enforcer actually enforce this, right? And so we have that outlined every step of the way, how we look at things in this updated guide. So I think that'll be helpful. And of course, we do allow questions at any given time, just via submission via email. We can try to get those back within 48 to 72 hours. We do get a lot of questions about the Chrome Quora very frequently. And so we usually try to get through them as quickly as possible. Like I said, 48 to 72 hours is general response time. We just have to do our legal research first. So we provide it as perhaps an entry in our future Citizens Guide for Open Government. So when you ask a question, you're actually helping people across Kansas get information, because our Citizens Guide collects these questions over time, especially the really good ones. We'll include it in future publications. Typically, the publications take place in July or August of each calendar year. And so we just have a recent one, as I mentioned earlier. Yeah. let's talk about live streaming meetings. This is new and it's been a struggle across the state of Kansas. And so live streaming meetings, you don't have to do it, but you can do it, right? And so it's completely up to each governing body. But if you live stream any part of the meeting, you have to live stream the whole meeting. So if you start out, let's say you start out at 8 a.m. with the meeting, and you close out at 10 a.m., that full 2 hours must be live streamed. You can't pick and choose, you can't do a work session. You have to have a brand new meeting, and adjourn the first meeting, and start a brand new meeting if you want to have live streaming. So that can be a little tedious, and you have to notice both meetings, and it's...
So when we go into, if I can ask a question right now, so when we go into an executive session, we have to end the meeting and end the live stream and then start it all over again?
It's complicated in that respect. You don't adjourn for executive session, you recess into executive session.
Right.
And so the live stream will just go dark for that portion.
Oh.
It still needs to continue on, and so that the viewer can understand that there's maybe you just turn off the camera and the volume, or you put up some counties and cities I've seen put up slides of executive session in progress. And so that way the exact time is recorded in the live stream. So it's supposed to be a 30-minute executive session. They can see that it truly lasts in 30 minutes on that. And you have Johnson County to thank for this. They had a big blow up over over these live streaming meetings, and it got the whole state legislature to vote unanimously, and the governor to sign it, requiring the live streaming to be continuous. So one issue in one county did kind of change the law forever, and this is where we go, right? But the live streaming is, you start from point A to point B. If you want to have a work session, it needs to be a whole separate meeting where you adjourn. Executive session, you just have dead space on the video feed. With the best practice I have like this is seeing them put up the graph that says executive session in progress. That's been really, I think, very helpful. But you do got to come right back to the live stream once you resume your open session. So it's kind of an interesting one.
So what's the source of the Johnson County?
So
when was that passed?
So this went into effect July 1, 2025. And this was as a result in Johnson County. It was a dispute over the live streaming of public comments. And so public comments are purely optional for governing bodies. If you choose to do them, great. If you choose not to do them, no law requires you to do them. But if you, at least there's some tax things you have to do for hearings, but property tax. But generally speaking, for general business, there is no public comment requirement. They decided to do public comments, but did not want to broadcast the public comments. And so that was a big dispute there. The legislators, both Republican and Democratic, were concerned about this, and so there was bipartisan angst about what the Johnson County Commission decided to do about not live streaming the public comments of their citizens and constituents. They were going through some difficult discussions, right? We just exited the COVID era, and there was discussions and things that the county commissioners did not want to be broadcast, and ultimately the legislature and the governor unanimously said they had to do it. And every representative and senator who represented Johnson County had voted yes. So the public went through their legislators and changed the procedure administratively, or legislatively rather than administratively. So the county commission didn't want to budge. But that was a big deal. Ultimately, the county commissioner, after the bill became clear it was going to become law, went ahead and changed their policy before the July 1 deadline for implementation. So to their credit, they did rectify the problem. But because of what happened in Johnson County, we now have this statewide broadcast, full live stream requirement if you live stream any portion of the meeting. So the history kind of makes sense of what happened there and kind of the result of it and how it's been implemented by the legislature. Any questions on that? Okay. So it's kind of an interesting one. The word about this hasn't made it across the state as much as I would have liked. We've done several trainings about this, but if you weren't in one of the big counties where this was a big deal and the surrounding areas where it made the news a whole lot, the news didn't get a whole lot out because a lot of counties were doing just fine ahead of time before this took place. And now they're just having to catch up to where the law is now because they didn't have a problem now because the law changed, they just have to catch up. So, does that make sense? All right. So everyone's favorite topic, and this will probably take us for the duration of the presentation. So executive sessions. So this will be good. So executive sessions permit the discussion only on enumerated matters. So enumerated means it's a matter identified by the legislature that you can enter an executive session for. So you must start out in the open meeting. So you're just like we're here right now. You're going to be in the open meeting, and someone's going to do their motion to enter executive session. The motion is going to be seconded, and you're going to go through the entire formula for a perfect executive session. Of course, you can't take any binding action in an executive session. You can also not extend an executive session. Once you're in an executive session, you can only be in for the time allocated, and you actually have to be in for the entire time you allocated, right? Let's say we're going to go into an executive session for 15 minutes. You have to use the full 15 minutes, but you have to be back in your chair at the exact time you said you're going to be ready to start the open meeting again. And so what happens here is you probably, let's say you go into executive session for 15 minutes, you're only going to use 13 of that, and you're going to be sitting back in your regular chair for about 2 of those final minutes. That way you can all enter executive session again if you need to continue it. You do the same process from scratch. Does that make sense? Okay. So even if a consensus is achieved, though, you have to make the final action. And you can't say, I move to take the action discussed in the executive session. That is not a valid motion. That would not be acceptable. You have to say, you have to come out of executive session. You say, I move to do X action, and then move forward. You can't use the guise in the executive session to take a formal action afterwards. The public needs to understand what action you're taking. That's a common violation I see in post-executive sessions. Any questions on this slide? Right. And so, the executive session is a true formal motion. Second and carried, as we said, the complete motion, as we previously iterated, that needs to be recorded in your minutes. And you have to have 3 parts of your executive session. The statement of the subject to be discussed without revealing confidential information. So if I'm going to go into an executive session, let's say I'm going to say discuss pending litigation on maybe a contract that my county is working on. You can be a little more specific than that, but without revealing confidential information. You use the justification, word for word from statute. And so you pull out your little statute handbook. In our citizens guide, we listed out all of the statutes that you can pick from. So you can just literally read right from the paper. It's easiest for you. And you have to set the exact time and place. So you're going to say, and the best practice is to say the exact time. In theory, you're not violating anything if you say it in 20 minutes, for 20 minutes. But you should say 20 minutes and we'll return at 8:30, 7:20, 5:30. The exact time is the best practice. You're going to say when the time and place the open meeting is going to resume. So you never want to leave the public to have to guess what you mean. And also, you should always be addressing that you have a master clock you're using, so no one's kind of guessing which clock is right, because my watch might be different than Chase's watch, might be different from all 3 of your watches, so you need to be as much. You can only use one justification at a time. So if you need to discuss something with your legal counsel, you need to do that in one executive session. Then if you're going to acquire real property, you need to do that in the second executive session. You see how the law works. It's functionally where you only have one executive session discussion per executive session motion. You can't mix and match them together. Make sense? Yes.
Require the statutory citation and justification. You have to have a statute stated?
Yes. You should. The best practice is you state the statute and the full justification.
Well, let's separate best practice from complaints, because the statutory citation is essentially confusing and can be misleading. If you say attorney-client privilege, the discussions confidential and attorney-client relationship, or personnel matters and non-elected personnel, without statutory citation, is that enough?
You need to say whatever it says in the statute. So you don't need to go KSA 4566, whatever, but you do need to do the entire bullet, the whole line. So if it's for confidential communications with the attorney, there's a privilege under the attorney-client relationship. You got to say that verbatim, no exceptions.
You can't just say attorney-client privilege.
No, you should say the whole thing. That's the statute. That's what the statute envisions, and that's the justification from statute. And so Braylon and Jesse are a little more strict than prior ones. Like substantial compliance isn't full compliance, right? They can still deem you if they really want. Our two investigative attorneys.
Understood. And just trying to,
Yeah. So, yeah, full compliance is what they're expecting, and that means reading off the entire investigation. So, some of our previous attorneys let folks get away with doing less, and Braylon and Jesse are just very textualist in how they do things. And that's not a bad thing. It's just, what it says is what it is.
it's refreshing to know that it's a matter of interpretation in the office and the attorneys who are involved rather than consistent across the statutes. If it was stated in the statute, there would be no room for interpretation. That's a political statement, not a substance.
And whatever's in the statute, verbatim is how they're enforcing it. And that way there's no ambiguity, no question as to what. That's, I think that's refreshing in some cases. I mean, there is no gray area. It works. So, as we discussed, the time and place for the meeting will resume. We do not reconvene before the stated time. If you're coming back in at 7:15, coming back in at 7:13 is a violation. A very clear one.
Define coming back in.
Start the meeting, the open session again.
Opening the door?
I mean, the moment the commissioners start talking again at 7:15, 7:13, you said you were coming back at 7:15, that's when the violation takes place.
But if they open the door and no one speaks until that time frame, are you still good?
Yeah, as long as they're sitting there.
So I can't say, I'm gonna get up and use the restroom, or I can't say, I can't speak?
You can't speak about anything that would be covered under an open meeting. So if you say, I need to go back to the BRB, well, your tardiness back to the main meeting could be a violation. You have to be back in your seat at 7:15 to resume. So that could be a problem actually, but you go in exactly the time you say you're going in. Not a minute before, not a minute after. You say, we're coming back in at 7:15. You can open the door and allow people to come get back in and get situated. As long as the commissioners are sitting there looking pretty, smiling, and all ready to get going, that's all that matters. You're in your seat, ready to go at 7:15. You can't utter anything about the public business until that time occurs. So the legislature did contemplate a 5-minute grace period. Ultimately, the House of Representatives struck that out. So that was a concept provided by the Senate. And so, we're still stuck on exact time. That is, in fact, the legislative intent of the current law. They did not want to change it. Okay. So, as of course, our recommendations plainly state the time, 7:15. Don't make anyone do math. So 7:20 is not. That's exact. But 20 minutes. You got to be able to give some rational basis for them to figure out where they're going. Whose 20 minutes are we looking at? 20 minutes on this clock, that clock, which clock? And so, the less ambiguity you can do on this, the less likely is someone's going to report a violation. And just anyone in the public can report a coma violation, right? And so anyone can start an investigation, even if it may be nothing.
With no substantive basis, right?
They don't have to have any basis at all just to file a complaint. They can perceive a violation took place, and maybe they're uninformed about how the law was, but that's enough for an investigation to be triggered. An investigation warrants an entire review, which technical violations can be found. And so it's just the way it goes. So it's best to follow the best practices, and that way you can avoid complaints being filed. All right. So as we said earlier, the executive session motion must be reported its entirety. Minutes must be permanently retained. There is a permanent record retention for executive session minutes. Motion is not complete in its writing if it's only a summary. A summary is a violation of the Municipal Meetings Act. It must be the exact verbatim language. But you also have to have all three statutory things in there. So if we get the minutes and not all three things are there, it's a textbook violation because you didn't have 1, 2, 3 outlined. That's why if you use our Citizens Guide model motion, congrats, it's there for you. Just cut and paste it, fill in the links, and you got what you need. Now, the ums and ahs, as we said earlier, they did not fill it for the public's ability to understand what went on, and so we did not require the ums and ahs to be put in there, because it's just filler language. Alrighty, so who may attend an executive session? Only the governing body members and the people invited by them. So you actually have to state in your motion who's invited to attend with you. So that's typically the county administrator, county clerk, deputy clerk, and general counsel. And so you gotta say who's coming in with you. You can't just assume. Your observers cannot. So if a county clerk has no right to attend, they must be invited. So only people who have a right to attend a meeting are the elected or appointed county commissioners. And so the county commissioners in your motion have to invite everyone else to attend. They actually have to have a legitimate reason for being there. The spouse of a county commissioner does not have a legitimate reason to be there, generally speaking. Maybe they are also the county clerk. Then we go into a whole other thing, but at this point in juncture, the county clerk would need to be invited. A spouse, if they're going to be invited, needs to have an official role that would warrant their invitation. Staff, if you're going to use certain motions too, you actually probably need to have a staff member there. Like if you're having consultations with your attorney, the attorney has to be there. We've had someone try to use that motion with no attorney present. That was kind of silly. Or the person acquiring the land, your county administrator wasn't there to explain why they're trying to buy land. So you gotta use the motion. You need to have a person there who's actually going to explain what's going on too. Yeah. Any questions on that component? We're getting done. We're gonna be done pretty quickly. We're gonna finish the executive sessions in just a little bit. And we'll kind of see. So these are our commonly used executive sessions. Personnel matters of non-elected personnel is a pretty frequent one. A non-elected personnel is if you're filling a vacancy on a commission board or if you're in a nonpartisan body. I think you're all partisan everywhere but Johnson and Wyandotte County. I think that's right. And so the precinct people will take care of that for you, so you don't have to worry about that violation. But you're only going to be using this for staff. So that would be county administrator, the county manager if you're in that system. Some counties do have that. If you're going to be hiring maybe someone to run your Parks and Rec department, that's where that comes in. You can do the resume review, you can do the interviews as a county commission in there. You can do a lot of things in there, but it's only if non-elected personnel. Who's in elected personnel? Clerk. You're not going to secret executive session under this one, talk to the county clerk. If you're having a conflict with one another, you're doing that all out in public. Not pretty, but it's democracy. It's our constitutional republic way of doing things. The elected officials get together and fight it out. That's how things work. Consultation with the public body's attorney, that would be privileged under the attorney-client relationship. You need to actually have your attorney there. Makes sense. Employee negotiations. You see this a lot with union contracts. When you're getting a union contract done, so Shawnee County does this a lot. Teachers, unions, and school districts will work this out. So that's a pretty common one. That are related to the financial affairs and trade secrets of corporations, partnerships, trusts, and individual proprietorships. This is our economic development exception. This is where a lot of governing bodies are utilizing this exception to talk about issues such as the Chiefs Stadium going to Kansas City Metro, Wyandotte County, Olathe, and Johnson County utilize an exception to enter those executive sessions. The data center debate, this is one that you would use to talk about that for economic development purposes, although that one's kind of blowing up these days. I've seen a lot of questions entering the ballot box where cities are now getting citizen written ordinances. And Peoria, and I think El Dorado have it on the ballot where the citizens actually are doing the lawmaking. So we'll see those, how those go. It's always fascinating in our wonderful laboratory democracy to see how things go and how the different mechanisms change that are available to the people. And so, matters affecting the student, patient, or resident of a public institution. If you guys have a county jail, prison, or something like that, and there's an incident that would require you guys to have a discussion about what happened, matters affecting a student, patient, or resident of a public institution. Public institution is that correctional facility, so that might be applicable to you. Otherwise, the school system, that would be, let's say, a student engaged in inappropriate behavior, the school board wanted to bring it up. And the reading, that would be something they could do. We have some government-run health institutions here in our state. So the community hospital board, they would be able to use that for a patient issue. Maybe they're having a patient billing dispute. That might be an example. Preliminary discussions related to acquisition of real property and security measures. And so the last couple of slides, we're just gonna go through each of the individual of these in a little bit more detail, so you can ask some questions. But the bulk of the presentation is not included. It's just individual and detailed notes and conversation about the executive session exceptions. Good. So personnel matters, unelected personnel. This is a privacy-oriented exception. It does not include independent contractors. It does not include appointments to boards or commissions or public officers. Like I said earlier, you may discuss applicants for employment. Make sense? Pretty straightforward one. Okay, consultation with the public body's attorney for communication to be privileged in the attorney-client relationship. You must have the attorney present. If the attorney is not there, you cannot use this. Communication must be privileged under the rules of evidence here in Kansas, and no third parties may be present. And so the only people that can meet in an attorney consultation are the county commissioners, the county administrator, and at times the county clerk. Anyone else has to have a direct nexus to require that attorney representation. And that one's very strict because the attorney-client privilege can be broken, and then once it's broken, that's not good. That means a lot of your communications will be subject to discovery and things like that. You just don't want that. It's not good for your county. It's not good for your county's legal predisposition. So definitely follow what your attorney says as it relates to privilege, so that they can have confidence in the legal counsel you're doing. All right, employer-employee negotiations. You're formalizing those negotiations. You're battling out to get the best contract for both sides. A win-win situation. This is not a general employment meeting or a general employee discussions. This is not the county commission having a giant staff meeting. It is not. This is to get those employment contracts, figure out who's being paid what, a salary discussion, so you can make contracts for the general application employee. Maybe you're negotiating some maybe benefits package with the union. That's what this is for. School boards do have special rules, and that's not going to be applicable at the county level. Data relating to the financial affairs, trade secrets of corporations, partnerships, trusts, and individual proprietorships. What a fun word, right? This is the economic development exception. As we said earlier, this really goes into detail about those ways so you can grow your local economy, so you can have those discussions. It will cover any sort of economic development project when you're getting these trade secrets and data and things like that. But then you just realize whatever you decide to do will have to go to the public, so it doesn't give you blanket protection. Because remember, any final action has to be agreed to by the public. And your planning commission, should you have one, will also be evaluating these things in a public setting and having a public hearing. And so everything will ultimately come out eventually. So just don't use this as a permanent guise to realizing some of these projects will come out. And public may love them, public may not like them. That's the risk that you do in governance, right? And so that's the way it goes. Matters affecting a student, as we said, a patient or resident of a public institution. Really not much to add what I said through earlier. It's those school districts do for students, those Kansas, those health institutions, those public ones that have health community boards, community hospitals, that they're going to do patients. And if you're a county or a jurisdiction that has a jail or a prison, that may involve you with a public institution component. Rare though, it's rare to have something come up with that. It's usually if an incident of violence or some incident that would cause concern comes up. Preliminary discussions about acquisition of real property. This isn't selling real property, it's only to purchase real property. If you're selling real property, you're doing it all in public, unless you need to consult your attorney. Maybe you need to work out the contract. Then you can go in there to get the contractual things the attorney will help with. Otherwise, selling it, you're doing it out in the whole public. If you're purchasing something, you can do the initial discovery phase of whether or not you want to purchase land in this executive session. All right. Security measures is one that is pretty interesting. Open discussions, if you're talking about something and having those open discussions would jeopardize security, maybe you're deciding whether to put new security cameras up, maybe you're deciding whether or not there's how to handle a cybersecurity vulnerability. That's when you use this. If your building's integrity and your cyber integrity could be threatened by not going to executive session, because you probably want to do that in a way where the public's not going to find out. Because the public isn't just here, right? It's not just your citizens. The public is basically the whole world. And so you don't want bad actors in China, Russia, so those foreign bad actors are infiltrating government websites pretty frequently. You don't want someone to be able to exert a vulnerability that they can do. Then you put ransomware on your systems. And so this is to protect the cybersecurity and the physical integrity of your buildings. And so also if you have certain components, maybe the police are explaining how they're going to handle a major event, as far as security-wise, maybe you have a town festival or a county festival or a parade, the law enforcement personnel would come in and brief the county commission, and usually it's executive session because they talk about tactical plans, intelligence information, about how to keep the public safe. And so this is an executive session that can be used for that. It's the security measures, focusing on emphasizing public safety and your integrity of your technology and your buildings.
So once again, IT security would be covered under that, correct?
If IT is coming to brief you on security measures they're taking, that will be covered.
Okay.
Yep. And so, yeah.
I think we got dinged on that a while ago for something like that.
Yeah, but it needs to actually be, you're talking about the cybersecurity vulnerabilities of your system. Simply talking about new computers that IT is bringing in, that would not be covered.
Right.
It needs to have that security measures nexus. All right. So those were, generally speaking, the vast majority of the ones that I think county governments and city governments will be dealing with. And so there are some other ones for special boards, like the Sandbox Regulatory Relief Program has its own homeowner exception. There's a list of other ones, right? The Administrative Procedures Act, if you're recessing into that system and doing administrative hearings, there's exceptions for that. But those are predominantly found at the state level. So penalties, we can at the Attorney General's office, we have enhanced penalties and expedited penalty processing. So the county attorney has to take you to court. They can do the same things, force compliance, and make you really just change your behaviors and whatnot. The Attorney General's can do finding of violations and consent orders. Consent orders being you come to an agreement, it reduces the fees substantially, and we usually just require some training. It's pretty quick. A finding a violation means we're going to publish and do a formal finding, and we're going to do higher fines. Because perhaps a finding a violation usually comes about when there's routine and consistent violations of the Kansas Means or Records Act. So we usually do a good job of trying to work with everyone to do educational training and keep the fines as low as possible over time. We can charge every aspect of our investigation reasonable expenses, including time to investigate, and our attorneys to take a look at the document drafting. And so they can do a lot of fees if it really came down to it. We can order the cease and desist from training. Some folks have tried to skip out on fees. We just send it to state selections and they garnish wages. I mean, we have a lot of tools in our toolbox to make sure fines are paid. So I think that really sums up. Any questions before we just go where you can find some nifty resources?
So yeah, I got a question. Yeah. So once again, I'll go back to the no basis. Okay, somebody makes a complaint, there's no basis for it. You do an investigation.
Yeah, they do check, and a lot of times they'll just go away.
Find nothing. You then turn around and put any cost on whoever did it for no basis, or do you just say, well, I guess we're just out for your investigation costs and everything?
No, we're just out. We can only find governmental entities.
Well, what is wrong with that picture? Because somebody can come up and say that they find something every day that they think they saw.
I'll be honest.
So,
we get
what about that?
We get complaints every day from one person. She sends in a very nice red envelope. I'm not sure. I can't remember what city it is, but she sends one. It feels like just every day get one of them in. And so that's just the way it goes. That's the law allows the public to submit complaints, and that's the law. I have no ability to tell them they can't. We evaluate each complaint. If the complaint's invalid, the complaint's invalid. We get a lot, and many of times misunderstanding of law does take place. Many of times it's a technical violation. Usually it's those cemetery boards that are frequently violating things because they think that the law does not apply to them when they're told that it applies to them. And you find them, they're like, oops, that's not good. But it's a collection of things with the public. Any member of the public can submit a complaint, and that's the way it goes.
Is it typical then, when no violation is found, to spend additional time to go back over years and go, let's find something?
No, they're not on witch hunt. They will look at the records that are provided, and maybe the complaint does not yield exactly what was in there, but then say the documents provided does yield a technical violation that was submitted, and that was.
I'll beg to differ with you, but that's okay.
Yeah, well, that's all right. I'm just a teacher. I'm not.
Sure.
So very good. So our website ad.ks.gov. If you go to that at the bottom of the screen, there's a giant button. I'm not providing it. It's so big. You hit the giant button, you'll be able to get to our resources tab. There's our complaint filing system, our open government resources. There's various different items you can click on. There's our frequently asked questions, our citizens guide, our emergency procedures, CORA, which was through the pandemic, still posted there. Request presentations. Our CORA training videos are up. We're working on a COMA series. Chase is going to start on it eventually. So we'll see if he ever gets it up. And yeah, that's kind of it. So that really does conclude where we got. You're more than welcome to send us emails asking for clarifications. I will send the clerk and deputy clerk our Citizens Guide 2026 edition. They can disseminate, but not interactively, right? We're going to send just one blind carbon copy email to everyone. And
You don't have that in written form with you?
Which one?
The one you just said you were gonna send?
Yeah, I don't have it with me right now, but I will send it to you in PDF version of it.
You won't send a written,
Oh, you want me to, if you want me to mail it to you, I have no problem with that. Would you
I'd like a
some
printed
mail?
copy.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. How many mail ones should I mail down here?
You can just mail one to the clerk for me.
Okay, you want 5? Sure. Okay, might as well. I don't mind. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Do I need to record names for credit today? Can you clarify that?
They didn't mention anything. Usually I just respond right on the telephone because I'm on this day. So
Okay.
if you communicate with her at all.
Yeah, I'll just send her a note saying the wonderful people of Jackson County invited us to give a presentation, and they all attended, and we did, it's like exactly 1 hour. So, it's pretty good. So, actually 1 hour, 10 minutes. So, what about where I thought we were good. Sometimes the COMA ones only take 15 minutes, sometimes they take 45, sometimes they're an hour and 30, I don't know. You never know what you're going to get. The CORA ones take forever, don't they? Especially CORA for law enforcement, those things go 3 hours. The sheriffs have a lot of questions. A lot of times they step me, I'm like, I don't know what you're asking about, you have to look that up now. Because I learned a lot when I do the law enforcement ones though, because they have some really interesting techniques they ask about or different processes. I had to learn a whole new process for them. So they're like, what do you do with this? I'm like, I don't even know it's a thing. So body cams, they get me all, they have a new question on body cams I've never heard of every time I do one of those. And so I do learn a lot. So very good. Well, thank you for having us. I do apologize for a little bit of tardiness, but these meetings are all the time, and we just try to do the best we can.
There you go. Thank you very much.
Thank you
Appreciate
so
it.
much. Oh yeah, does anyone want pens and stuff? I can give you to. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, you guys get these.
Thanks.
Okay.
So the one
Oh no, that's just, we're back. Yeah, no action was taken. Yeah, that's pretty much. Okay, sure. I want extra too. Did you get one?
No, thanks.
Want a pen?
I don't need one.
I'll take an extra pen.
Take an extra pen.
Sure, they are nice.
Oh yeah, these are some of the
Thanks.
most favorite pens. Hey, 3 pens before I get them. All right. Very good. On to the next meeting. So everyone have a nice day.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Are you trying to
County Council.
Town council, yes, they have terminology. Well, yeah, thanks for having us. Good about you. Have a good one. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Watch Keith. Make sure you got it right. Find the corner.
Don't want to. Does that look right?
Yeah. Is that your name? Need a date.
What's that?
Date. Easy pen.
Merge these two or like that below. Those are the two descriptions.
Okay,
Well, the first thing we would edit is Public Works Director, there is none.
Correct. I just didn't know if you wanted to take some of the duties
From that,
from that and add it to the other one. And then give them the title of what you wanted to do.
okay, thank you.
we're gonna do that soon.
And if you wanted us to advertise that or anywhere.
I think, yeah, probably immediately. So we can get this.
Todd, did you have anything else for us?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I think there is currently filed a case in federal court, the district court of the United States. It's the Potawatomi Indian Tribe against the state of Kansas lottery. Generally, it's about the use of these new machines that are lottery machines in like convenience stores. But it is now, they have added a declaratory judgment to determine that the tribe's actual boundaries are the ones established in 1848 as the 30 by 30. And you guys know about that, you recognize that that's the area, it's a larger area, but it would take up portions of the west and southwest and south portions of the county to be put into the reservation.
So the city of Delia would be included in that?
Yeah, just about, you draw a line obviously north, on the north line of that, of the Potawatomi Indian Reservation, and on the east line, if you go down to the border of the county, everything to to the south and to the west of that would be the new, not new, but what they would say is the restored reservation. And that would be their jurisdiction and effects from there. And this has been discussed, and it was recently, the city of Topeka has determined via a motion to intervene in the case, and there's discussions among all the counties, because Potawatomi County now would be part of it, Valencia County, and of course Shawnee County, in the proposed area. So there's intervention being discussed. It's not been finalized, but I think what the request of some of the other entities, other counties here in the city would be just to see if the county would be willing to join in an intervention in the case to represent the interests of the governing bodies in the area. And what I just need is, if you are willing to entertain it, it would be a motion to intervene in the suit pending further agreements by the parties as to representation and similar.
I think that it would be in Jackson County's best interest to join in this suit. I don't think that this is something that we can let go. So I would entertain a motion to be a party to this suit.
Pending the agreement regarding representation.
Pending the agreement.
So moved.
Second.
Getting properly moved and seconded to join this suit pending the agreement with all parties. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
And that was it for me, unless you guys got a question or two.
You got anything for Todd? Linda? Okay, I think that's it.
So,
All right. Keep us up to date on that, please. I appreciate that.
No problem. Let me see what's I'll be here. Was it Labor Day is the next, it moves to Tuesday, is that right?
Yeah, you can be here that Tuesday.
Yeah, I should be,
Yeah.
So, the 20, the next one, the 21st is going to be,
Okay.
because they're going to try.
24th? No, 31st.
The 21st is, that's August, yeah. September.
September 21st.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, sounds good. Thank you.
You bet. Yeah. Take care of that. Good day, guys.
All right, we'll see you later.
Are you looking at the job description?
Yeah.
Under the essential functions, I think one of the things that I'd like to have added to that at some point.
We're looking at supervisor of road and bridge, correct? Or public works director?
The superintendent of
Okay.
road and bridge.
Yeah, okay.
Has the authority to stop work of subcontractors if their work isn't correct. I think it's important to put that in there, make sure that whoever takes that position understands they're the eyes and ears of the.
I would put that under the
under
fourth bullet point. I would put that under the fourth bullet point because it says that monitors contractors working with the county.
Yeah,
Just say has the authority to
stop work.
stop contract work.
Yeah. Again, under the superintendent road and bridge application or job description, under required qualifications, third bullet point, valid Kansas driver's license, CDL. If it's the right person and they have years of experience of managing people, I don't know that I would hold them back if they didn't have a CDL. Superintendent's probably not necessarily going to get in a dump truck and do that type of work, but we can ask them to get one for future use. But
I believe that that would be the proper thing to do would be to ask them to, do the OJT like we did with Peyton to get to CDL. I think that would be that's a valid point, I believe, having CDL.
in what way?
Because if he does need to jump in a truck and do something, he has the ability to do it.
Yeah, and I'm saying if he doesn't have it, I don't want it to be a stopping point.
No.
We would not hire the individual.
That's what I say, put on there with if you do not have a CDL, we would require you to get one within, a certain time frame. I think that's a valid point to me.
There's some qualifications they have to apply.
Yeah.
I think also under the superintendent, there's, unless I missed it, there's nothing requiring that individual to create a budget, be involved in the budget process that is evident in the public works director. We need that in there.
Yeah, the only thing there is under primary accountabilities, and I struck that line, was provide information to public work director for budget planning and administration. So yeah, we got that in there, that he is responsible for the budget for. But I would also like to strike superintendent and make it this director, because we already have a superintendent out here, correct? Matt? As far as on the job description, it's director of road and bridge, not superintendent of road and bridge.
If that's what we're calling that, yeah, then.
I mean, that way we differentiate between the two.
I'm fine with that.
Okay. Yeah, so and I also struck up here under essential functions on that trainings. I don't think that would be their job to train individuals. As far as taking them out in the road grader, taking them out in the hoe, whatever. That would be more of a training.
How about coordinates training?
That would be perfect. And then down under essential functions also, I also struck out, so research and draft specifications for equipment, vehicles, generates equipment purchases, expenses for budgeting in cooperation with the public works director. I struck in cooperation with public works director.
Yeah, anything to do with, yeah, public work, we'll take that.
And then you wanted under that essential functions, ability to,
Stop work.
well, ability, yeah, that was up under the fourth bullet point, but ability to coordinate and present budget.
Just, it's his, he just needs to have budgeting put in there as one of his responsibilities, create the budget for road and bridge. You're also gonna have to put in there, approved expenditures for road and bridge. So if Mac comes to him, or if Bryson comes to him, or Jennifer comes to him and says, hey, can we do this? Yeah, if it's within his spending limit, they can do it. If it's not, then.
Yeah, and there's some things over here, that I'm still working through the public works director now, that we need to just transfer over into the director of road and bridge. So I think some things that should be transferred over from the Public Works Director job description to the Director's description would be bullet point 2, essential functions, provide information for master planning, roads and flood control, and administer state and federal allocations. Bullet point 3, pursues and administers federal, state, and county funding for all projects under the Road and Bridge Department. Bullet point 4, approves expenditures for public works or for Road and Bridge Department. I believe that's one you were referring to.
Yeah.
Bullet point number 8, oversees the preparation and planning and contract specifications for road and bridge projects and handles bidding and bid opening of these projects. And the next one, oversees project progress and assists in directing of projects as required. The next one, negotiates contracts with consultants and reviews work for accuracy and professionalism, ensures completed project is within the scope of contract. And then down on the required qualifications, the last one on that page, ability to organize, multitask, plan, and set priorities with minimal supervision. Do you see anything else other than those? Or would you like to add something, change something? If we do, now it's time to do it. And one thing too, do we also want to, under the Public Works Director description, we had 4 years of experience with at least 3 in a supervisory capacity. An equivalent combination of relevant experience and education may be considered. Do we want to add that line into the Director of Road and Bridge? Meaning the equivalent.
I'll find that.
Okay. I would pass this down. This is kind of what I read off. You can kind of read it over to make sure I haven't made any mistakes reading. Everything highlighted here, I believe, is what needs to be transferred over to the other job description. good?
Yeah.
Just hang on just a second, because there's one other thing. Where is it? I believe somewhere on here, on one of these, I saw that, you know, this is not necessarily a 7 to 3:30 job. There may be,
It's not salary, it's an hourly.
right. Let's see.
Is the pay range accurate? Is it on there?
Is it on what?
The pay range accurate, 30, is it on there?
32, 36, 57?
Is that still where you want it to be?
I would say so.
I would need to look at what Joe's currently at right now. And what we started him at and what we raised him at. I don't remember.
It's current. I don't know this stuff.
Ability to work irregular hours in high stress situations. It's on there. That's what I saw that. It is on the correct. So we'll pass this on to get those put in all highlighted areas.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. See if we did start him at 32. I think some of it's going to develop, depend on.
Experience.
He's had the same pay the entire time. That was the start date.
Okay, so there, anything struck out on the top one is struck, added some other things in there that are wrote,
Yes.
and then anything highlighted on there needs transferred over to the director for road and bridge.
Okay,
Does that sound okay?
yes. And then where do you want us to advertise?
Online, Indeed, whatever. Do we have a Indeed account or anything like
I
that?
think we do. I think we used that last time.
I think we need to go there again.
I think we did KAC last
I
time.
think we need to go there again.
We can put it on our own website.
Yep.
And then Fulton Recorder. We can to do that and how many times.
KMPA.
KMZA, and that.
I don't know if they do ads or not.
We've done it before.
Do they do ads? Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. On the recorder, what, 2 times, 3 times? And how long were
Do you
you?
want a date or put until filled or? I was gonna say until filled, but it's up to you.
We have to put a close date on there sometimes as far as when we're going to take an application, so we get a, you know, that kind of pushes some people. We can always re-advertise. So,
2 times in the recorder?
yeah, I'd say that start off with. And then,
In September.
I would say September 30th, applications due by September 30th. We're gonna have to do that. you know, like I said, put a close date on it, so we got some time to look and see what's going on.
You're gonna communicate with Matt that after the 5th, he'll be the one to be.
Yeah, we'll have to do that.
overseeing things.
Yep.
Did you ever finalize anything with Kate as far as the?
No, we need to call her down and
As
talk.
far as last I knew, she had asked you guys if you would consider.
And we tabled that till you got back, and I think that we need to call her down and have a discussion with her about it. So, you wanna see if she's here?
Sure.
Because I think consensus was we couldn't do it.
Yeah, I thought we'd eliminated that position out of her budget, so therefore it's, you know, you point, I thought Linda had some good information as far as the surrounding counties. Was it Brown, Nemaha, Atchison, all had
4, including the appraisal.
4, including the appraiser.
Yes, Tanner, do you remember, when you were here, when Jake, were you here when Jason was here? Yes. How many hours did Jason work a week? 32. This was 32 hours a week. Jason? I can pull up his contract. You know, his report, Kate?
I didn't know him, but he was working 32
He
hours.
worked 32 hours.
This is often the thing he was talking about on their website. So here's the word for word.
For an executive session.
If you do. Those are the word for word.
I'm curious, if it matches what our attorney gave us. Hold him accountable.
Well, it's,
Well, this is new. They just put it on there, they just updated it.
It is, I looked at my
It's not.
statute, it's the same as what's on the statute, but it's just a shortened version. The statute has more reasons.
Well, that's, you have to read everything that's on the statute too, so.
Well, it matches that, it's just, it doesn't list every single one.
Okay.
Hello.
How are you?
How are you?
Good. Okay, we need to talk, you want to go to executive session for this, or just, I guess open session?
This does not qualify for.
That's what I was just gonna say, according to what we were just told today, this was not qualified, so, we've discussed this and don't believe there's any way at this time that we can do the position. And you're like, we stated before, this is not the only position in the county that we've cut. There has been open positions we've cut, and we've also cut personnel. We've cut 3 personnel out from Road and Bridge. And at this time, we just cannot do it.
Is there any hope for the future, I guess?
There's always hope for the future, Kate.
We'd like to hope so.
Yes.
We definitely like to
There
hope so.
really is. But,
For our office?
well, of course. It's not just your office, it's countywide.
Do we have like a plan, like when that could happen in the future?
As far as replacing your employee or replacing anybody out of Road and Bridge, not at this point. It's really driven by the budget and whether we can afford to do it. And so getting the budget, if we pass the mill levy increase that we're talking about, yeah, there's hope for the future, but a lot of it depends on what the public's willing to tolerate. And we've cut money from places that I never thought we'd have to cut money from. And it's gonna be difficult at Road and Bridge, maintaining some of the roads. Yeah, there's always hope. I would hope that someday, if things are still as busy as they are, be able to fill that position. Some of the appropriations that we had to cut weren't pleasant, but the Fair Board wasn't very happy with us. Between the Fair Board and the adult,
ESJC.
yeah, the adult disabilities, and that was $90,000.
So is technology off the table as well, or is that still an option if we can find something that is more budget friendly?
Well, I thought that from the information we've been given prior, and I think it was Jamie who gave it to us, that you were still looking into options other than the one we have right now. Is that correct?
Yes, but it was my understanding that was taken off the table, and if that's not the case, then we can look further into that.
I don't think anything's taken off the table as far as that goes. I mean, I want to listen and hear what you find, what you can do, and see what's going on.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure paying someone to fly over and do those types of things. If we're using Google Maps or an advanced formula of Google Maps, then, and you have to pay for that service or whatever, then that may be an option. I believe, Linda, you stated that the other counties, was it Addison and Brown, they don't use anything?
One of them uses the maps, one of them doesn't use anything.
Google Earth, I'm guessing.
Google Earth.
Probably, yes.
And then, I mean, we are going out and visiting 1/6, 1/7, 1/6, yeah, of the county every year. And I think, just to be frank with you, I think the majority of the people, the feedback that I get is that should be sufficient. That using drones, airplanes, whatever that may be, seems somewhat intrusive. And so, and again, I'm just giving you the information and feedback that I get. So I'm not sure for me that type of technology is on the table, especially if we're visiting 1/6 already, to physically take pictures. And
What about the properties that we can't get onto?
I would think that develop a list of those and we can approach those in whatever legal capacity that we would have.
So you are saying that you are not in favor of a technology to help our office do our job?
A technology that uses an airplane or a drone to take physical photography of individuals.
The satellite is okay.
Because that's it's available. I'm not willing, at this point in time, I'm not in favor of purchasing or hiring somebody to do it. But if satellite technology is already available, then yeah, that makes sense.
But if there's a technology that
It's-
uses satellite technology.
And we don't have to pay for it?
And so you don't want us to budget or use capital outlay for any technology?
I don't know that I am. I'd be glad to listen, but again, I think whatever is available through Google Earth and then our physical inspection, again, if you develop a list of those properties that you're being denied access to, we can deal with that through our attorney with legal process to do that. And if that's the way that needs to be played out.
And you
But-
all are in agreement with that?
They may
No,
not.
not necessarily.
Yeah, they may not
agree
agree.
with
So
that.
I don't want to waste any time researching companies if it's not going to be an option. That's what I'm saying.
I understand that, but no, I'm willing to listen to anything, and I'm open to anything. That's what I'm saying. That's what I said earlier. I'm open to anything.
So if they are, that's fine.
And when is this supposed to take place? Do I have till the
With,
end of the year?
your employee,
Yes.
yeah. It would be the end of the
It's the
year.
end of the year.
for the end of the year, starting January 1, 2027, under the new budget.
All I say, I hate this. I absolutely hate this. But it comes down to the fact that we just don't have money. We just do not have the money.
And I think sometimes if we look at these situations as, okay, let's try to find the positive in it. What can we do to make a difference in the budget and cut things and we wake up one day and we go, well, maybe we really didn't need them. And I'm not saying your office, but I kind of am. I mean, throughout the county, the way I look at this is not having the money to fund some of these things is an opportunity to see what we really needed and what we didn't. Is it painful at first? Yeah. But we may find out that, you know what, it's going to work out okay. And so that's the way I choose to look at it and move forward with it. There's nothing we can do. We can't raise taxes so much that to fund all these things because the people won't stand for it. I don't want to pay that kind of property tax.
Well, actually, I'm sorry, but that's kind of the way it's got to be.
Anyone else?
No.
Yeah, I do have two things. Have you created DocuSign for?
I have, a long time ago.
Okay. Wasn't sure, nobody had ever said. And then a separate email for
It's
those
already
things?
been done.
Perfect, thank you. Like I said, nobody had ever reported back whether those had been created and done, and I hadn't thought of it when I've seen you to ask.
Just more office time that will be used to do all of this neighborhood revitalization. That is increasing every year. So, there's that.
Just say that one more time.
The number of people in neighborhood revitalization is increasing every year, and maintaining all of those files is something our office has to do. So, just putting that out there as well.
But having
And
DocuSign
We
is
have
way
to send
faster.
we have to send each individual email to each person. It's not a widespread, we can do that on a mass email.
So it's
It is-
easier to mail it through snail mail?
We're gonna have to do both,
Why is that?
because not everybody has an email that they wanna give out to us.
But if that individual prefers or has the ability to use DocuSign,
We
you
are
wouldn't
gonna
have to
send a
send it.
DocuSign.
And there's not more of that revitalization that can come down here to the zoning office?
He cannot process all
Yeah.
of the things that we do. He has no input on the valuation process of it.
The only
He can
piece-
hand them documents saying, hey, you should go see the appraiser's office.
And he does a good job of explaining how it works.
And we continue that process when they come out.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, thank you, appreciate it, Casey.
Was the new email for neighborhood revitalization?
I'm sorry.
Was the new email you were talking about for neighborhood revitalization?
For it specifically, because before it was going to an email that wasn't checked very often, and those emails were getting missed. And therefore, individuals who were trying to communicate on time-sensitive things were getting kicked out of the system. At least one did. And having DocuSign so that an individual who lives in the north or the south end of the county does not have to drive all the way up here. I mean, to me, it's not. And I think,
Right, did I get everyone back?
I believe so.
I think Christie has budgets.
are we gonna break for lunch?
Yeah.
Okay.
No break for lunch. So, entertain a motion to recess for lunch
And we're gonna work on budget,
after lunch.
okay, in a not in a meeting.
So you wanted a work session after the budget, so then let's adjourn the meeting. Entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded to adjourn this meeting. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
I think we've got to finalize some things before Wednesday's meeting, so.
What time are you going?